when it comes to our scheduling, but in the grand scheme of things, we work for a larger company. We packed our bags and headed towards the campsite. It's a state park where you can camp for free for up to 14 days without permits or approval needed. We were driving along a dirt road for a while, and I made the horrible mistake of not turning on my high beams. I don't know why it was something I hadn't thought of doing, and it would prove to be something that I'd regret for the rest of my life. It didn't help that I was also going way too fast for the terrain and time of night. Within a split second, my girlfriend screamed, and only feet in front of the truck, we both saw a large downed tree in the middle of the road. There was little I could do other than slam on the brakes and hope that we could stop before hitting the tree. Of course, we weren't that lucky.
Okay.
We crashed into the tree, and I was out for a couple of seconds. I remember waking up really groggy, and the ringing in my ears was very intense, but my main priority was making sure that my girlfriend was okay. For purposes of streamlining the story, I'll just call her Jessica. I looked over at Jessica, and she was completely out. It was dark, but the moon was lighting up her face enough for me to see that her eyes were closed. I yelled her name to try to wake her up, but she wasn't responding to it at all. I took my phone out of my pocket and turned on the flashlight and pointed it at her.
Got it. Let's see. Bam.
I didn't really know what to expect, but
Nada.
what I saw was something I definitely would not be able to predict at all. I saw the blood first. She was wearing a white shirt, so it was pretty apparent. And then, of course, I noticed the tree branch puncturing through her chest. It wasn't a huge branch. It was probably the same circumference of maybe like a finger or something.
What up, dude?
I know that's kind of a strange comparison, but I literally can't think of anything else to compare it to.
Here, I'll get you more
It
lemonade.
had come through the windshield, and it was still attached to the tree. I didn't want to shake her because I didn't want to cause any more trauma to her body in the process of trying to wake her up, so I just didn't touch her at all. I tried calling 911, but there was no service. I started trying to think of what I could do to help her, but there were so few options. The truck wouldn't even start, so even if driving away was the right idea, it wasn't an option. I had a knife in my pocket, so the next logical solution in my mind was to cut the branch from the tree and try to get her out of the truck and lay her down on the side of the road so I could get help, knowing someone wasn't going to crash into our truck and only make things worse. I hopped onto the hood of the car and tried so hard to cut that branch.
Where is the Kraken
But the knife
shit?
was small, and I was getting nowhere with it. I started to panic. It had already been over 30 minutes, and she still hadn't woken up. I got back into the truck, and I just started to pray.
It's over
And that
here.
was weird for me, since I hadn't prayed since I was a kid, but at this point I was willing to try anything. It felt like I was praying for hours, but only another 30 minutes had passed. I was only holding on to this glimmer of hope because she wasn't actively bleeding during that 1 hour. The branch wasn't in the center of her chest, so I was hoping that it missed her heart. I felt her pulse, and it wasn't strong, but it was still there. All I could do was wait for someone to hopefully come along and help us. I don't know if it was God or luck, but I started to see light coming from behind us. It filled the inside of the truck, and I got out as fast as possible and started screaming and waving at the driver. He stopped right behind her truck and rolled down his window and asked what was wrong. I started explaining to him fast, and he told me to slow down since he couldn't understand me. I explained slower, and the expression on his face changed instantly when he realized what I was saying. He got out of his truck and went over to the passenger side door with his flashlight and shined it on Jessica. I heard him curse under his breath and told me that the only hope that she had would be to cut the branch and try to drive her down the mountain to the EMT station since he also had no service. He had a chainsaw in the back of his truck, and I was terrified the shaking of the branch would hurt her even more, but there really was no other choice. He started sawing about a foot in front of her chest. I covered her with a blanket to try to minimize any sawdust from getting in the wound. It did vibrate her body a little bit, but she wasn't conscious, so at least she wasn't in pain, so I thought. Finally, she was free from the tree. The man helped me pick her up as gently as possible, and we placed her in the back seat of his truck, laying down. I got into the passenger side, and the man turned around and began driving down the mountain. Jessica stayed unconscious the whole time. It took us 20 minutes to get to the EMT station that I didn't even know was there. They were surprised to see us, since usually they get called to emergencies. They loaded her into an ambulance, and I got in with her. And the nearest hospital wasn't too far away, thank God. But it wasn't a trauma center, so she had to be airlifted to the bigger city that was around an hour away by helicopter. She had a punctured lung, but thankfully she hadn't lost much blood and her heart wasn't damaged at all. The doctor said that if it had been only an inch to the left, it would have pierced her heart, and she probably would have died within minutes after the accident. She stayed in a coma for almost 2 weeks, and when she eventually woke up, she could barely speak because of the pain that she felt in her chest. She stayed in the hospital for over 2 months. She had intensive surgery to try to repair all of the damage, but it's possible that she might even need a transplant for her lung in the future. I'm just grateful Jessica survived.
What the fuck is going on?
I stayed in touch with the man who saved her life. Jessica is currently still on oxygen and has trouble breathing from time to time. I take her to monthly appointments, and we're doing everything we can to hopefully someday see her fully recover, although we have come to terms with the fact that that may never happen. I asked her to marry me while she was still in the hospital, and she said yes, and no matter what happens, I'm looking forward to spending the rest of our lives together.
Okay, I don't want to spend $25K to fucking kill this boss. I just want to get in a world that doesn't have someone in it. I just have to kill 3.
For what happened, but I'm also glad it's something that she doesn't have to remember.
Okay, cool. Found it. Do I need to pray anything? I don't remember. No, I just want to. I don't want to attack you.
So I've come to find that dating online can be crazy. Let me just say that before I say anything else. You see pictures of someone online,
shield
talk for a while, and then meet them, not even
how
knowing
much better
for
is
sure
it in the
that they're
book?
The person in the picture. It's really absolutely insane. I only wish that I knew that before downloading Tinder myself.
Make sure.
I had gone on a few dates
I can see the chat
guys that I met on Tinder, but nothing ever worked out.
Chatting.
Most guys just wanted hookups or aren't ready for commitment. Of course, there are also some creeps, but I didn't come across those types too often. After having Tinder for a few months, I met a guy on the app who seemed way too good to be true.
Yeah, how many?
He was absolutely gorgeous.
840.
When he messaged
I haven't blocked because
me,
I don't like doing Kraken, but
I got even more excited. The more we talked, when I realized that we had so much in common. He was so nice and funny, and from what he told me about himself, he really seemed like my dream guy, you know? After around a week of talking, he asked if I wanted to hang out. I suggested a bar near my house, but he wanted to go to dinner instead.
Get the pet here.
I usually like to get drinks on a first date so I could leave quickly if it went bad. But I liked this guy so much, and he seemed different, so I agreed to dinner. For purposes of anonymity, we'll just call him Oliver. Now, I was just going to drive to the restaurant myself, but he insisted on picking me up, saying it was the gentleman's thing to do, and so on and so forth. It wasn't the best idea to say yes, but I guess I'm
more watermelon seeds. All right,
because I agreed. And
2 watermelon seed drops. Perfect.
He said he'd pick me up around 7 p.m. the next day, and man, I was really happy. I told all of my friends where we were going, and they told me that I was an idiot for giving a guy I'd never met my address. I thought that they were all just being jealous, so I didn't take their comments to heart. I started getting ready around 6, and at exactly 7, my doorbell rang. I opened the door and immediately was disappointed by what I saw. He looked nothing like his pictures. Well, not nothing like them. It was obviously the same person, but at least 10 or 15 years older. I didn't say anything, and I figured that I'd go on the date and see how it went, because I did still like his personality. Over text, at least. He opened the door for me and walked around to the other side and got in. We started driving in the direction of the restaurant, and that was around 30 minutes away. He told me how gorgeous he thought I was, and that I was even prettier than my pictures. And then very awkwardly he said, "What about me? Am I even more handsome than my pictures?"
Got a great loot.
At first, I thought he was joking. He had to be, right?
What?
There was no way that he didn't know that he
20,
was much
48
more unattractive than
watermelon seeds and an uncut sapphire.
I really didn't know what to say, but my mom has always told me to be honest, so I decided a half-truth was better than nothing. I said he looked good, but that I was curious how long ago he had taken those pictures. It was immediately
Dark
obvious
Beast,
he took offense
easy
to the
money.
question, so I quickly apologized and told him to forget I ever asked. I was hoping we could move on from that, but he clearly took it very personally and proceeded to give me the silent treatment for the next 5 minutes, like some big baby. I had really begun to regret the decision to go out with him and definitely regretted giving him my address. I knew the way to the restaurant, so I was keeping track of where we were going as he drove.
You can see him. That's nice.
I noticed that he missed the turn on the street where it was located, and I told him to just do a U-turn at the next intersection. But he didn't respond.
Killing Dark
the next
Beast.
intersection, and I started to get a little freaked out. I told him again that he needed to turn around, and again I got no response. He drove along the road, and I asked him over and over what he was doing and where we were going, but he refused to even look at me. We stopped at a red light, and I knew that I just had to get out of that car. I went to open the door, but I saw that it was locked. There was no button to unlock it, and it was one of those locks that retracted inside the door, so I couldn't even manually do it myself.
Yeah, let me just take one.
I was trapped. I took my phone out, and as discreetly as possible, I texted my friend my location. After driving for some time, Oliver pulled into an empty parking lot outside a grocery store. He parked in a spot on the far end of the lot. I didn't know exactly what he planned to do, but I had an idea that I was not at all about to let that happen. He took off his seatbelt, and I reached in my purse. He grabbed my arms and tried pinning me down. I fought back against him and tried as hard as I could to keep him off of me. Finally, he let go of my arm, and I pulled out my pepper spray, and I sprayed him directly in the face. The only problem was with using pepper spray in such a confined space is you end up getting it on yourself as well. My eyes immediately began to burn and water as he screamed in the seat beside me. He started calling me every name in the book as he tried wiping his face with his shirt. And during the struggle, I was able to reach over to him and unlock the doors. I shoved it open. I fell out into the ground, scraping my knees in the process. By that point, I was having trouble seeing clearly, and my chest had begun to burn from breathing in the fumes from the pepper spray. I tried standing, but was so dizzy. I kept falling back to the ground. I stumbled as I slowly made my way across the lot. I heard his door open and him yelling at me to come back over. I looked back, and through all the blurriness and tears, I saw him tripping over himself as he followed me. I screamed for help, but no one was around to hear my cries. Oliver started to say that he was just joking and that he didn't mean to freak me out. He said if I just came back to the car with him, we'd go to the restaurant as planned, and that he was sorry. And he says this in between screams of pain from his eyes burning. It was terrifying, and I genuinely wondered if he thought that I was actually going to believe him and go back to the car with him. Is he really that stupid? He was close behind me within no time.
Let me go.
Just as I reached the doors of the grocery store, he grabbed me by the shoulders and yanked me back. But the doors had already opened, and I screamed for my life. I saw a man came running out and told Oliver to get off of me, which he then did immediately. And the man helped me up and tried to keep Oliver there, but there was no stopping him from getting back in his car and driving away. The police were called in that moment, and they told me that they'd open an investigation. But nothing ever came of it. And believe it or not, this guy was never found. I moved out of that house that I was living in at the time and just moved back in with my parents. I started to get really paranoid for a while that he would find me, but it still hasn't happened. I use my story now as a cautionary tale for other women going down the same path that I once was. Even you men out there, you never know who wants to hurt you.
2 days.
But it can and does happen. So please, be careful.
Alright, we're just trying to kill 11 of these. It's easy money.
I really wasn't planning on telling this story, but it's been a few years,
and
I'm not as freaked out by what happened as I used to be, so why not? I was only 19 at the time. I moved across the country the year before college and had never had any issues driving home for the different breaks that we had over the school year. It was winter break and my mom really wanted me to come home that year to celebrate the holidays with my family since I hadn't the year before. I agreed, but I really didn't want to leave my car for weeks. There had been a lot of car break-ins in the city that I lived in, and leaving my car to be vandalized, broken into, or stolen just was not an option to me. I told my mom that I'd be driving home, and she wasn't too happy about it, but understood. She offered to have my dad fly out and drive with me, but I didn't want them to go through all that trouble, and I thought a few days on the road by myself would be a good thing. I've been having issues in my personal life, and having the time to think about it without any distractions seemed like a good thing to me. I packed up a few bags that would last me the next few weeks and said bye to my roommate, who was pretty bummed out about me leaving, and headed out the door. Thinking back on it now, my car probably wasn't worth what I went through during that drive home. It was a 20-year-old Honda Civic that had the propensity to break down a lot, and by a lot I mean at least once a month. I just didn't have the money to replace it. I hopped in the car and was on the highway within a few minutes. I got some coffee before heading out of the city so I could stay awake as long as possible. It was still around 8 in the morning, so I figured I'd drive for around 10 hours before hopefully finding a hotel and settling in for the night. I had no definite plans and was following the fastest route home, which probably wasn't the best decision. I know now that I should have taken the route that didn't involve long stretches of highway with nothing but fields for miles and miles. I stopped a few times for a bathroom and snack breaks, and by at around 7 p.m. I was done. I'd been driving for almost 11 hours and didn't want to be a hazard to myself or others on the road if I kept driving while being that exhausted. I found a relatively nice hotel and got a room for the night and continued my drive the next morning. That day I'd be driving through parts of the Midwest, and it wasn't necessarily something that I was looking forward to. The last time I drove through it, it was a lot of just flat land and cornfields. Both things I thought were boring to look at on a long road trip. It was winter though, so there was no corn.
Oh no, my prayer.
The weather could have been better, but I had no issues the day before, so I hoped that it would stay that way. The day went by faster than the previous one, and the sun was down before I knew it. By 6 p.m. I was feeling pretty good to keep going, so I passed through the next city and drove on. Around 7, I started hearing a knocking sound and wanted to cry when I realized that it was coming from my engine. It had started to snow.
Kill these things faster. Maybe I can get a dark bow.
Until I pulled to the side.
I don't know if I have gotten a dark bow.
Out. It was getting cold without the heater on, and I knew that I had to get help very soon. I checked Google Maps to see if I was close to another city, but the next town, albeit a very small one,
why don't they give you like 11 of these? It's not like I like killing them. Because their loot sucks, but it seems strange how many dark bows there are.
I decided to use the emergency calls only button on my phone to call for help, and thank God it worked. The only problem was the closest officer that could respond was at least an hour away in the town that I mentioned earlier. I told the dispatcher that obviously I'd wait, and she instructed me to lock the doors and try to hide myself inside the car enough to where it looked as though no one was inside. Apparently, right where my car decided to die on me also happened to be a very sketchy section of the highway that wasn't very safe for stranded drivers, especially young women. I'm not gonna lie, having the dispatcher tell me that made me feel physically ill. I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack with how fast my heart was racing. I put up a sun shield in the windshield area and thankfully had 3 extra ones in the car from when I went car camping, and decided to put those along the sides and back windshield as well, so no one could see it and it would look like almost black from the outside. Around 30 minutes into me waiting, I started getting the feeling like somebody was watching me. Now, I tried convincing myself that it was just because of the situation that I was in and that all the windows were covered anyway, so there was no way that was possible. I wanted to shake it off, but the feeling just wouldn't go away. No matter how much I told myself I was okay, there was something inside of me telling me the situation I was in was about to get very, very scary. I turned on the screen of my phone and faced it in the direction of the windows, not knowing what I was about to see would traumatize me for years to come.
I'm pissed. I can't do it. Spiritual creatures. Fuck.
I felt some ease seeing only the reflection of the sun shield. I turned my phone towards the passenger side windows, and in the small crack that wasn't covered,
I don't really want to do spiritual creatures.
A strip of window was visible, and on the other side of the window was the face of a man. pressed against
oh, wait,
the
I do
glass
have a clue to do so.
with a smile, staring directly at me. My first reaction was this blood-curdling scream. It was a sound that I didn't know that I even had the ability to make. It was like fear itself was manifesting in sound. It almost actually rang my ears, and the second the scream left my mouth, I watched as the man lifted his face from the glass and heard him begin to laugh. The most awful, guttural laugh I'd ever heard. Immediately, I heard the car move as the man violently tried the door handle to get access into my car. I was screaming and crying as he hurled himself around the car, howling like he was some animal between his laughing. It felt like he was taunting me in a way.
So
I called 911 again and was screaming that I needed help now. The woman who answered the second time wasn't as friendly as the first I'd spoken to only 30 minutes prior. She kept yelling at me to stop screaming, otherwise she wasn't going to be able to help me. I was crying,
she was walking
trying
out.
my best to calm down as the man outside began to bang on my window with what sounded like a hard object that possibly would make it possible for him to break into my car. The dispatcher began threatening me, telling me that it wasn't okay to prank 911, even though I insisted what was happening was very real. After 10 minutes of just pure agony, trying to make her understand as the man just outside my car was putting me through this, she hung up on me.
Yeah, but Darkbow Mill.
Completely helpless. In the moment,
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. I could say.
That he hadn't been able to break into my car.
Would be nice.
I called 911 again, hoping I'd get a dispatcher with more empathy, and thankfully that was the case. A man answered and immediately took my distress into account and helped me calm down enough to get the information he needed. The officer had been sent almost 45 minutes before, and now was only around 10 minutes away, and I was told that they'd have him get to me as quickly as possible, given what I was going through. I was hopeful, but that hope was ripped away when I heard the sound of what was obviously a rock being thrown at my windshield.
Oh yeah, come on.
It shattered, just enough to motivate the man to get on top of my hood and start stomping the windshield until it was broken enough for him to reach a hand inside.
Serum.
I screamed and climbed into the back seat. I was trying my best to get out of reach of this very insane and clearly dangerous person. He started tearing the windshield out of the way, and his face was even scarier than it was the first time I saw it. I was paralyzed with fear as I watched him begin to climb between the glass and the car. I had no choice but to get out of the car and hope the officer was close by. I opened the door and turned on my phone's flashlight. I faced it toward the hood and was so relieved to see that he had become stuck.
I want to get a 750.
He was trying to climb out, but wasn't able to.
Tasks.
I then saw the beautiful, flashing red and blue lights in the distance and heard the sirens as he drove closer. I started frantically waving him down, and he pulled up beside me. He was out of his car in seconds, and another police car was pulling up behind him only a few minutes later. I was placed in one of the cop cars and watched as they actually drew their guns out, demanding that the man climb out of the car. This crazy guy was screaming and thrashing his body around. One of the officers grabbed him by the ankles and pulled him out of the vehicle. The man tried biting him multiple times before being slammed to the ground and handcuffed. They put him in the back of the other car and told me more officers would be coming down to take pictures of the scene, and a tow truck would be down to tow my car. I was driving to the police station and gave my statement about everything that happened. I called my parents, who bought me a plane ticket home from the nearest airport, which the officers were nice enough to drive me to. I wish I could tell you the man who did that to me.
Oh shit!
What is it? They said that he wasn't even fit to stand trial eventually.
Lloyd 12.
And I guess he was taken to some state mental hospital where the last I heard he's
he scares me.
I wish that there was some justice.
Happens so infrequent that when it does, it's like,
maybe some people would say there was, but to me,
is he in the room?
It wasn't justice.
Fuck.
He isn't being punished. I am. The memory of what happened punishes me every day.
Okay, cool.
It's gotten easier to deal with as time goes by, but it'll always be there to torture me anytime I'm reminded of that man in the window.
Hi, baby. I like that dress. Polka dot, polka dot. I'm doing good. How are you? I don't work today, which is nice. Get a couple of days in a row to relax.
I was driving my truck back home from
more
my girlfriend's
refreshed.
apartment. There was a pretty big storm going on that night, but I figured since I only lived 10 minutes away, I'd be fine. I would have stayed at her place.
I don't have this song.
I had to work early the next
day.
Okay. All my work clothes were at my place.
Alright, I'm gonna go do this quest. Fuck it, dude. I have to. This is the second time I've gotten this clue step, and I haven't been able to do it because I haven't done the quest.
The most comfortable
so,
feeling.
Fuck, we're gonna have to do it.
The rain was pounding down on my windshield so hard, my wipers couldn't even go fast enough for me to be able to see in front of me. It was like driving blind, but
Perilous Moon.
I'd lived in that town my whole life, so I knew where to go. It was like muscle memory on where to turn and how long to drive down a street.
Why?
I turned onto the road that my house was on, and almost immediately I could tell something wasn't right. It was like my truck was almost floating. I felt wetness at my feet, and the lights began to flicker inside the truck. There was water seeping in. In my headlights, I could see the water getting higher and higher outside my truck. The water
came in pretty good. I mean, I just turned it on. I thought
the currents was
I always feel bad if I spend too much time playing. I feel like I need to stream more. Just
tried opening the door
because it's like my life's never not like this. You know what I'm saying?
It was at my knees now, and I took deep breaths.
You never find no perfect time for it.
Panic in a scary situation because panicking won't save your life. I had a waterproof flashlight in my glove box, and I took that out.
Let's go with.
I turned it on and looked around for anything I could break the window with. The car had shut off completely by then, and the power windows were not an option. I just cleaned the truck out the day before, and unfortunately that meant taking out all my tools so I could organize my box. I only had my sweater, the small flashlight, and a pocket knife at my disposal.
Fishing net.
I called 911 and was greeted by a recorded message telling me every dispatcher was currently handling a call, and they'd get to me as soon as possible. And that's when I started to panic. I needed help, and it seemed like I wasn't going to get any.
Alright, we got
the water was now on my belly button when I decided to squat on my seat and try to
let me look up the Perilous Moon
the water as long as possible. The water seemed to be coming in mostly from the driver's side door, so I grabbed my sweater and tried to plug the leak, but it didn't work.
But I was
desperate and willing to try anything. I was on hold for 7 minutes before I finally got an answer. I told them what was going on, and they were very matter-of-fact when telling me that I wasn't the only person in that type of flooding situation, and that it would be at least 30 minutes before they could get help to me. I kept telling him that I felt like I didn't have 30 minutes, but he told me there was nothing else he could do. I asked if he'd stay on the phone with me, but he said because of the demand for emergency services during the storm, they needed as many dispatchers as they could get, and if the situation got worse, I could call back again.
Yeah, right. Like,
I hung up with the dispatcher and already knew that that wouldn't be an option. If the situation did get worse, I wouldn't have 7 minutes to wait on and hold to tell someone about it. I'd be dead.
Alright,
the water kept rising and my heartbeat quickened. I was scared and confused why I wasn't getting any help, and my mom and dad both weren't answering their phones. I opened the voice recorder app and started recording my goodbyes to my family. I wasn't sure if they'd get them, but it was better than nothing and somehow easing my nerves. It was like I was talking to them without literally talking to them. But something about it was kind of therapeutic in the moment.
Okay.
Only 10 minutes after I hung up with 911, the water had begun to reach my chest.
What you got planned today?
I was certain that I was going to die when only 1 foot of the car had space for air. I started praying to God to please not let me die.
How about I take an anti-poison instead of that?
I hadn't been very religious in my adult life until that exact moment, but I guess that's how it goes usually. You realize your true belief in God when you really need him. But anyways, another 5 minutes went by and it was at my neck.
Oh, I need specific weapons? Do I need specific weapons, or are they just weak to that?
I was beginning to lose hope. No one was coming for me. I was only able to breathe through my nose when I heard the sound of an engine nearby. I didn't think that they'd even notice my truck, so I started screaming and flashing my light to get their attention. And I felt this sense of relief when I heard this boat pull up next to my truck. I shone my flashlight and saw someone jump into the water next to my driver's side window. He had this window breaker with him and it shattered on the first try. He reached in the truck, grabbed onto my shirt. I took a deep breath as he pulled me out of the truck through the window. They got me on board the boat, and I began just thanking them profusely for saving my life as I took deep breaths of the air I thought only minutes before I was about to run out of.
Let me... Yeah, we're just going to fucking...
Emergency blanket
we're going to raw dog this quest.
We helped a few more people out of the cars before reaching an area where police and firemen were waiting.
Knife.
I was taken to a hospital, but I didn't have anything medically wrong with me. Thank God.
Let me buy. It says I should buy.
Although I know that I came very close to being the one fatality. I felt so failed by my city's emergency services.
Quetzal feed.
I found out that night that the people that saved me weren't even officers. They were just good Samaritans that heard people were in trouble and knew that they had to help.
Yeah.
For months after the incident, I had nightmares about drowning. Even now, I get scared to drive during a storm or even go out on a boat. Deep water terrifies me.
Limestone brick.
I've gone to therapy a few times, but it never seemed to help, so I just stopped. I just hope there's a day, hopefully soon, where I can fully move on from what happened and not let it haunt me like it does right now. I'm glad I survived, and I'm glad the people in my community stepped up when law enforcement wouldn't. I should have never been left there to die, and that's exactly what they ended up doing. I only hope no one else gets stuck in the same position.
Okay, let me put my money up. Put my money up.
In time, and that their life is spared like mine was that night.
Okay. Where do I start this quest? All the way over here. Fucking Quetzal. But if I don't have that, do I gotta fucking run there? Okay. So
I had just gotten off a close to 24-hour shift. I worked in construction, and management had no problem overworking us if there was a deadline and we weren't close enough to being done. We were given overtime, so a lot of us were fine with it. I was driving home from the job site, and because it was close to 3 in the morning, there weren't many other cars on the road. I gotta admit that I was way too tired to actually drive.
How about I use Quetzal?
I've been up for almost 40 hours total. And yeah,
should I use Quetzal?
I was being reckless,
to do there.
So badly to get home and just go to sleep. I was drifting to sleep a few times during my drive home, but was immediately woken up by the sight of a young girl sitting by herself on the side of the road.
Wait.
I passed her at first.
Who do I want to travel with?
Just turn around and see if she needed help.
Okay.
I pulled up beside her and...
Oh, this is the landing site. That makes more sense.
She couldn't have been any older than 7 or 8 years old. I asked her what was wrong or if she needed help, but she wouldn't say anything.
We get some more experience. Did my Slayer level up? Yep, level 100 Slayer, baby. Almost 106 range.
She was a little hesitant at first, but she got in anyway. I planned to take her to the nearest police station so they could hopefully find out who she was and get her back to her family. I tried numerous times to get her to tell me anything about herself, but she said nothing and instead just continued to stare at me. Her eyes were on me the whole time. We drove in silence for another 10 minutes when I saw another child sitting on the side of the road. I felt like I was going crazy. There was no way this was happening again. I pulled over, and this time it was a little boy, and he also wouldn't say anything. And I figured, hey, why not? Jump in the car. And they did with zero hesitation. I started asking him the same question.
Oh, they're going to make this all connect?
Just like her, he didn't speak, and he also just kind of stared at me. I started getting a little freaked out and worried that I'd just gotten myself in the middle of something very, very serious. But
let me go fucking do that if I hit it on my way.
I started to think about what it could possibly be. Were they kidnapped and then abandoned on the side of the road? Was it some kind of trafficking situation? Were they lost? I had no idea. Another 15 minutes.
I don't need a saw. I don't know.
Only this time there's a car seat on the side of the road. I pulled over and got out and was horrified and shocked to see a little baby inside. I couldn't tell the age, but it looked relatively healthy. It was looking up at me, and I knew that I had to take it to the station with me. And I put the car seat in the back of the car and called the police the second I got service. They
instructed me to go to
the hospital that was a few miles away and that they'd meet me there. We arrived shortly after the call, and I pulled up to the front. I got the car seat out and instructed the children to follow me inside, and they did so without saying a word.
Go to Quetzal over here.
I walked inside, and only the receptionist was there. I told her what was going on.
I need to start doing my farm runs again.
Was this very confused look on her face. I motioned the children to go up to her, and they just stood next to her. I kept asking her for help, but she just looked around and wouldn't do anything, and I didn't understand why. She kept asking me if I was okay, and I
Are you okay?
I told her I was fine, but that the children needed help, and the baby looked cold. She asked me over and over what children I was talking about, and no matter how much I pointed at them or told her where they were, she acted like she had no idea what I was talking about. I was getting frustrated, and at this point I had no idea what to do. She told me to repeat myself, and I just told her again exactly what happened. The whole time I told the story, she just looked where I was pointing, but something was off. It was like she was looking through the children instead of at them. Just as I was finishing the story, 2 officers walked in. She had me tell the story again to these officers who were just as confused by it as she was. They looked around for the children that were standing right in front of them, and then I was getting confused. They had me sit down and very calmly told me that there were no children with me, and I was carrying a tool bag, not a car seat.
Nope.
I looked down and still saw the car seat in my hand and the children standing nearby.
So I was looking at what you were having. I'm like, ooh, what are you having? Cucumber.
Their families, but they were adamant and very serious about what they were telling me. They told me over and over that there was no one there.
Yeah, soldier's DNA. I was born like this, got a corn like this.
And I told them that, but it didn't matter.
All right, kill the sulfur naga just atop the cliffside.
72-hour cycle because they thought I could be a possible danger to myself or others with the hallucinations I was having. They were worried mostly because I was so sure of what I was seeing. I thought that they were all crazy, and that only I was the sane one. For the next few days,
delicious.
I was given many tests and evaluations to try to figure out what was going on with me. At first, they thought it was from sleep deprivation. It's common for people to hallucinate from lack of sleep, but when the hallucinations continued even after hours of sleep, they knew that there was something else wrong. I was scared. I called my mom, who came down and went through our family's medical history with the doctors, and after the 72 hours were up, I decided to just stay at the hospital. I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew that I needed help. For the next 2 weeks before my diagnosis, the children followed me everywhere. They watched me sleep, they kept me company, but still they wouldn't speak. At first they were comforting, like I wasn't alone, but eventually they became a reminder of the fact that something was wrong with me and I wasn't able to live my life until they figured out what it was. The hallucinations stopped being my only symptom, though. I started having speech problems and couldn't think straight, and that's what tipped off the doctors that it might be something else. They'd done scans but had seen nothing. I was told if the last MRI they were going to do during that particular hospital stay showed nothing, that I'd have to leave and come back on a later date for more scans that would hopefully show more. I knew what they meant. If I did have some sort of brain tumor, I didn't want to have to wait for it to grow before they could do something about it. We did the MRI, and thankfully, one doctor, of what seemed like way too many, noticed a shadow. I did have a brain tumor. It was small, but it explained all my symptoms. It was determined to be a malignant frontal lobe tumor that was compressing the optic nerve, and unfortunately it wasn't something they could operate on due to its close proximity to the optic nerve. But they were hopeful chemo and radiation would kill the cancer cells since it had been caught so early. I started chemo and radiation, and after a few weeks, the hallucinations occurred less and less. Part of me misses them when they aren't there, but most of me was happy that it meant that I was getting better. Most people probably wouldn't understand, but maybe some will. I'm still currently undergoing treatment, and my doctors are hopeful that I'll be...
Your suitcase? My suitcase.
If I hadn't seen those children in the road, hallucination or not, I never would have gone to the hospital.
My suitcase.
Never would have caught the cancer that early on. I'm still not positive on my official prognosis, but I like to think it's good. I have to have hope. Otherwise, I have nothing.
Or I have nothing. Nothing but... Oh, gosh. Darn it. I didn't want to go back through. What have you found?
Tilt it down. Down.
I was 16 and had just gotten my license. Think of the typical self-absorbed idiot 16-year-old guy. Yeah, that was me. It was Friday night, and I was begging my mom to let me take the car to meet up with friends to hang out, and she was adamant about that not happening. She kept saying that I was probably going to go out drinking, and she didn't want me to be an idiot and drive drunk. I kept telling her that I wasn't going to, but she was setting her decision.
Doing the new questing thing makes all these quests just so easy.
Decision to sneak out later and take the car.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. I didn't have to worry about
gotta be lazy.
I opened my window and looked out into the front lawn. I had already taken the keys earlier in the night, so
you guys certifiably suck. No, baby. Huh?
My mom forced me to install Life 360 on my phone, so I just turned it off to prevent
I don't want them.
I know. I don't use them.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was the type of mom to call the police to go looking for me if I wasn't home when I was supposed to be. I texted my friends and asked them where they were, and of course,
all right.
LA.
Now I gotta return.
An hour away from where they were, and I hate to say it, but I still decided to go.
Going back.
I was on the freeway for a while because of traffic and decided to take some side streets because I hoped it would be faster. It really wasn't, but that's just the joys of living in Southern California. Traffic everywhere, all the time. Well, eventually I got lost and I didn't.
You got some limit. You got
look at a map, so I tried to get myself to a freeway to hopefully find my way to get back home. Time was going by so fast, and the later it got.
All right. Oh, I gotta run through like 3 of these. Okay.
It's not easy for me to admit, but I was scared, and honestly, I wanted my mom.
I wanted my mom. I just want my mommy.
Not so safe-looking neighborhoods. Not really thinking about my own personal welfare. I turned down another narrow road and was shocked to see a truck blocking the way. It was parked sideways like it was deliberate. I tried reversing, but was met with a man, now pointing
cockatrice
at my face, pounding on my window. I started sweating, and I didn't know what to do, so I did as I was told. He told me to open the door and
running away.
He pulled me out of the car and shoved me to the ground. Another guy ran up to me and
nothing like a nice cup of tea.
To rip open from the force of each blow. I was begging for them to stop and screaming for help. A few other guys stood around, watching as he continued to beat me. I was lying there, just completely helpless. All I wanted as I laid on that ground was for my dad to come and save me. I knew that wasn't possible, but the thought of seeing my parents again gave me some kind of hope of making it out of there alive. I realized that an end to the beating would not come quickly, so I curled up in a ball and brought my arms up to protect my head and face. Doing that must have given him the idea to start stomping on my face, though, because the second my arms came up, his foot came down right into my jaw. The pain that I was feeling was minimal in the moment. Something I realized later was from the rush of adrenaline in my body. After what felt like forever, it finally stopped. I think that they thought I had passed out, but I didn't. I was just incapable of moving any part of my body. I saw flashes of light through my eyelids and realized that they were taking pictures of me, like they were proud of what they did. They laughed as they searched my pockets. They took my keys, wallet, and phone, and I heard them drive off with my car, and all I could think about was how much I wished that I had listened to my mom and just stayed home.
I wish I just listened to my mama.
As the pain started to creep in. My jaw hurt the most. Felt like it was broken. I was able to open my eyes, and in the dim light, I saw all the blood spread around my body.
I saw all the blood spread around.
I tried lifting myself up, but the pain was too much. I felt tears stream down my face when I began to realize that there was a large possibility of me dying right there, alone on a random street, knowing the last thing I had said to my mom was that I hated her. I didn't hate her. I wanted to see her more than anything. I wish that she was there with me, getting me help and telling me everything would be okay.
On the run again.
The next thing I remember is
I'm gonna run till I can't run no more.
I was still lying in the middle of the road as they began to load me onto
a
stretcher as the ambulance waited to take me to the nearest hospital. I was barely able to speak, but managed to tell them my name before blacking out again, I guess. I woke up in the hospital a week later with my jaw wired shut. Apparently it had been broken from the stomp to the face. My mom was sitting by my hospital bed when I woke up. and she cried as I told her and the police all the details of what I'd been through. They said it was probably part of some gang initiation, that I was lucky
and we
to
gotta
be
squeeze
alive.
through the gate.
The doctors told me the same thing as they described my injuries. I had multiple broken ribs as well as a massive internal bleeding from being kicked in the torso so many times. Along with a broken jaw, I had a broken nose, other extremely painful facial fractures, but most horrifying injury of them all was the discovery that my Achilles tendons had been cut. To this day, no one can tell me why they did that and why I didn't feel it when it happened. I had to have surgery on both my ankles and even now face the possibility of even more surgeries and physical therapy before I can even think of walking normally again. I had to stay in the hospital for months before being allowed to go home. I feel so stupid for what I did, but what happened to me was literally the worst case scenario of what could happen when you take your parents' car as a teen. I'm not telling this story to make you think that this is what happens when you disobey your parents. This is not common. I guess I just want to say that sometimes your parents really do know best, and when they tell you no, or that something isn't a good idea, it really is because they care. They know more than you, and don't take their life experience,
good, thank you,
and unconditional love for granted.
Right, they're crazy. Alright, let's use... Oh, okay.
When this specific incident occurred, I was 29 years old. And
it tells you if it's east-west and west, as you know, despite how the world looks, the antechamber counts as being directly in the middle of the forest, so it says go south.
My husband worked late into the day, so we agreed that it would be better if I and my daughter left first, and my husband would follow a couple of hours after us. It was winter, so it got dark early. We left at around 3 p.m., and by 4:30 it was already completely dark outside. We were still an hour and a half from my in-laws' house, and I was feeling pretty confident that we'd get there without anything bad happening. It's not like I had a feeling or anything, but as a mother, it's definitely something I thought about in the back of my mind. We were driving back down a back road that had no streetlights and was otherwise completely desolate. I didn't necessarily love the feeling of being completely alone.
What am I looking for?
But I tried my best to just brush it off and kept telling myself that we'd be there before I knew it. We'd driven this road countless times before and never had anything happen to us. We were 30 minutes from the house when I started seeing some flashing lights in the distance. They were two blinking yellow lights in the middle of the road that I quickly recognized as hazard lights on a car. I started getting this nasty feeling and just didn't like the fact that they weren't pulled over to the side of the road, but instead were in the middle of it. I stopped somewhere between 80 and 100 feet away and started thinking of what I should do. I was sure of one thing though. There was no way that I was stopping to help these people. I mean, I was a woman in her late 20s alone with her young daughter. I'd have to be a raging lunatic to stop to help anyone. I'd call to get them help later, but that's the best I could really do.
You're at the Craig location.
Any other woman in my position would feel the same way. You have to put you and your child's safety first before a stranger, always. I sat there for what felt like 30 minutes and still had no idea what to do. I had no service, so calling my husband or father-in-law was not an option. I had finally made the decision to just turn around and go home and wait for my husband so we could drive there together. The only problem was that it was a 2-lane road, and it would take more than a 3-point turn for me to turn around and start heading back. I started to hesitate, but when I looked in my rearview mirror, I noticed some shadows running up quickly in the distance behind my car. I could see them slightly in the moonlight, but I couldn't make out what they were. They had gotten around 30-ish feet behind my car when I realized that they were people, and I think they were carrying something. I couldn't sit there anymore. I couldn't even think. It was like my body reacted before my brain did. I put the car in drive and floored it. It wasn't a crazy fast car or anything, but it did what I needed it to do. I was speeding right towards the stopped car and had no choice but to drive onto the side of the road past them as best I could. As I passed, I saw more people started to come out from the side of the road. They started throwing things, pretty much anything they could get me to stop. I sideswiped one of the people and they fell back onto the road. Something hit my windshield and it even shattered a little bit, and whatever it was went flying into the passenger seat. I screamed from the impact and felt bad because my screaming made my daughter begin to scream and cry, and I told her everything was going to be okay, but she was 5, and nothing I could say at the time was going to make her feel any better. I just kept driving forward.
Thank you, baby.
Letting up on the gas. I was trying to build as much distance as possible between us and those people. And before I knew it, we were pulling up into my in-laws' street. They had a guard gate in the front, and I pushed the button to be let in. And they immediately could tell that I was in distress when they answered the gate. We were let in, and my father-in-law met me at the driveway with his gun. I was bawling, and my daughter was sobbing into her grandma's shoulder. They brought us inside, and I told them everything that had happened. My father-in-law has always been very protective of me and my daughter, and I could tell how angry he was getting. He kept asking me if they had followed us here, and honestly, I had no idea. I hadn't been paying attention to the cars behind me. I just was focused on getting to their house where I knew we'd be safe. My in-laws are the kind of people that are very serious about their security. They have countless firearms and security cameras everywhere around and inside their house and property. They checked the cameras and noticed the same car passing by the front gate over and over, like it was driving down the street, turning around and coming back multiple times. We decided it was time to call the police, but when they did, they said that they couldn't do anything for us since it wasn't technically an emergency, and it was so far outside their city limits. I guess when you live far enough outside the boundaries of where the local police typically serve, they can only help in life-or-death situations. My dad very explicitly told them that if anyone entered their property, they would be shot on sight. They told him it was within his rights, and that was it. He armed me and my mother-in-law and told us to wait inside the house. He called my husband, who was still an hour away, and went outside to check the property. We watched the security cameras, and just as he was approaching the gate, the car pulled up again. But this time it stopped, right at the gate. 2 people got out of the car, and they clearly hadn't spotted my father-in-law walking up to the gate. They tried pushing it open, and because we couldn't hear what was going on, all we saw was my father-in-law run up to them and fire a shot in the air. We could tell he was screaming something at them, but we didn't know what. They scrambled back into their car and sped off quickly. We weren't sure if they'd be back, but I had a feeling that that was the end of it. My husband got to the house an hour later and kept continuously apologizing to me for having me drive alone. But I kept telling him that it wasn't his fault, and the outcome would have been the same if he was with us. We were safe, and that's what mattered. A couple of days later, we heard the news that there had been a few carjackings in the area, but thankfully no one was seriously injured in the process. I still hate to think about what would have happened if I hadn't seen those people sneaking up on us behind the car. What would they have done?
Why?
I'm grateful we're okay, and I will say that I don't drive anywhere at night without protection, whether that be my husband or a gun.
People are fucking sucking today. I'm done. I'm not hurting anybody. I've had 3 girls just bitch to me this morning.
Who?
Charlotte, Alora, and Christina. I'm like, oh my god.
What did Charlotte bitch about?
She's
Just
at the
life?
doctor's office. She's got flu and COVID is what she thinks. I'm like, oh my god.
I'm a single mother.
I'm done.
I know a lot of people will roll their eyes when they read that, but it's important to the story, so don't judge too hard. The story I'm about to tell you took place when I was in my late 30s and my 2 daughters were 14 and 16. I had just gotten out of an intense custody battle with her father, but thankfully was awarded full custody due to his drug addiction and rocky financial status. My girls and I were so excited to be moving to another state, away from all the drama the custody battle had caused. There was a lot of choosing sides and blame being thrown at even my daughters that we decided getting out of such a toxic environment by moving was the best idea for us.
There he is, thank
It was
gosh.
early June and the weather had started to warm up. We had just packed up the last boxes in our house and decided to leave a few days before the moving truck because we wanted to get settled in the house before all our stuff arrived. Even if there would be no furniture for a few days, we were fine with that. We said bye to our old house, which was a very intensely emotional thing for us to do, and we set off.
On our way, baby.
And according to Google, it was only supposed to take a couple of days to get to the new house. We had the idea that we'd stay in a hotel for one night along the way, and that was super exciting for us.
One song and one song only. Ball so hard, motherfucker wanna find me.
After hours of driving, it was late afternoon, and we were ready to get
also
out of the
hard,
car
this
and
shit
find a room
crazy.
to stay in. I checked every hotel
Because
in the
Ninjas
area,
was in
every
Paris.
app, and there was nothing available. Literally
Why
not
am I in
one
this
room
room?
was free in any of the surrounding cities for another 3 nights.
I want to be in the Angels. Trying to get me. Oh,
I
I
called
want to claim
around, and
it.
apparently there was a huge kids
Can
soccer
I?
tournament in town, and it was one of the
Oh,
largest in the
fuck
country.
you.
We decided to keep driving until we found something, but instead, we were met with a stretch of road that had a lot of rest stops. But
Okay,
no
well, I'll go this way
hotels.
then. Shit.
We stopped at a gas station to get some gas and noticed a few biker guys in the parking lot. As I waited at the pump, I noticed one of the men staring into the back
Yeah.
seat of my car,
Damn.
clearly looking at
Let
my
me
daughters who were
out
about
of
to
this
sleep.
bitch.
I felt a sort of chill run down my spine, and I instantly had this gut feeling to get them out of there. It just didn't seem like a great position to be in. A young mom alone with her teenage daughters. Not great. I didn't even wait for the gas to finish pumping. I took it out, closed the gas cap.
Oh yeah, I
got
took it
back in the
out.
car as inconspicuous as possible and got back on the highway. I watched to see if they were following us, but they didn't, and I thought maybe I had just been a little paranoid, so I stopped thinking about it. The girls and I decided to stop at the rest stop. We felt like it was safe enough because at the time we had pulled in, there were plenty of other vehicles and people around.
Why is she white?
I had my daughters cover the back
What?
windows with the blankets that we had brought with us, and we all fell asleep at around 8 p.m. I had the intention of only sleeping for a few hours before heading off again, but I had failed to remember to set an alarm. Instead, I was woken up by the loud roar of a motorcycle pulling up beside the car. I don't know what it is about being a mom, but every sound I hear makes me wide awake in seconds when my daughters are around. I sat up and looked outside the window and was terrified to see the same men from the gas station only a few parking spots away. And they weren't alone. There was at least 25 to 30 of them now. I was fairly positive that they hadn't seen us, so I decided to not wake the girls.
Why
I
does she
didn't
want
scare
that?
them.
Yeah, like they're going above
I started
and
the car
beyond
and
for
turned
this
on the
motherfucker. I
headlights,
think because he's
but no matter how
mentally
much I
stable.
tried to pull out of there unnoticed, it just wasn't going to happen.
To take care of him.
Something in the universe wanted those bikers
Yeah.
to see my car
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
recognize it quickly.
I don't know why they move
And the
now
second my headlights switched
and do
on,
this for him. I
every
don't know how the
head turn
relationship
looked
is, but
directly at us. I was hoping the men from the
That's
gas
weird.
station wouldn't realize that they had seen us earlier, but of course, it wasn't the case. I heard one of them yell out to the buddies that they knew us and that they were a couple of hotties in the back seat. I was immediately terrified,
okay.
but also rolling my eyes because who even says that? Especially about two teenage girls who were obviously underage. But then again, they didn't seem like the kind of people who would care about that sort of thing. I honestly thought that if I just
Stop
drove
fishing.
away, that it would be like the last time where they wouldn't follow. But no,
Okay, we are home.
they were quick to follow right behind. I woke up the girls, and I wish I could have been one of those moms who sugar-coated things to save their kids from being scared.
Okay.
But there was no way to do that with what was going on. I told them that we were being followed by some scary men, and to stay down where no one could see them and keep the blankets on the windows. They both started freaking out and crying, and I understood. As I sped down the highway, these bikers got more aggressive. They began throwing things at my car and swerving as they tried to run us off the road. I was
Hi,
trying
baby.
my best to stay calm and on the outside so as to not scare the girls any more than they already were. But on the inside, I was having a full-blown panic attack. I knew my main priority had to be maintaining control of my car.
Aminals? Yeah.
It was clear that if something happened when they
Yeah,
were
what about
successful in running us off the road, nothing good would come of that.
Animals at the park?
They started yelling at me to just pull over, and that they only wanted to chat. I continued to stare forward outside the windshield and not even acknowledge them, and they didn't like that.
There's one in
They
Gravity.
started calling me names, demanding I roll down my window. I did roll it down about an inch to try and plead with them
Where's he
to
go,
just stop
doctor?
and
Why
leave
did
us
we
alone,
need?
but there was no way they could hear me.
Why?
We drove like that for at least
Why do you need?
5 miles before entering the next city. And by that time, it was already 2 in the morning, and finally I came to my senses and told my oldest daughter to just call the police.
Why didn't you go to the doctor,
Through
baby?
tears, she told them what was going on. I don't know what they told her, but she said that they were coming. Unfortunately, it just wasn't soon enough. I felt something hit the side of the car, and within seconds, we were off the side of the road and headed for a tree. I slammed the brakes as hard as I could, and the car came to a very violent halt. We were all okay, but I started to wonder for how long, though. The bikers surrounded us and started pounding on the windows and pulled on the door handles while the car shook. The girls were screaming at the top of their lungs and begging me to make them go away, but there was really nothing I could do.
Oh, when you're ready, I'm not ready. Let's go.
Make it out of there, and thank God he answered my prayers. We heard sirens in the distance.
Oh, we did?
As the men all got back.
Oh, that fucking sucks.
Speeding away. We hugged each other and cried until the officers were standing at the doors of the car. They had us step out and we explained everything. Now they tried to get in contact with the bikers around that area, but they weren't able to track them down specifically.
Let's go.
But to this day, I'm still terrified.
You need a crush weapon?
Group of motorcyclists. My girls are older now with children of their own, and my biggest piece of advice to them is always carry protection. You just generally never know when you're going to find yourself in a situation as psychotic as that.
Do I have to fight this guy with crush? Let me look this up.
Liam's in danger. Look, she's about to step out the house for Liam, the baby.
This is a short story that happened to me several years ago when I was a junior in high school. All of my friends got to travel to Myrtle Beach with the baseball team for spring break.
She did
but since
it.
I didn't play baseball, I was stuck at home. My one friend, Dave, was home too since we were the skaters of the friend group. We spent most nights of the break hanging out together and not doing really much, except for one night when we stayed at Dave's house. He literally lives in the middle of the woods. The closest neighborhood isn't that far away, but because of where his house is located, it truly feels like the middle of nowhere. Toward the end of the break, we snuck out of the house to see a girl who lived near him. Since she and a few other girls from school were still in town, we figured that we would hang out with them. And like I said, it wasn't far, just sort of an unnerving walk because there aren't very many lights and most of the walk is in the seclusion of trees and rocks.
I'll just make it.
We had an awesome time hanging out with them.
Stab,
I
crush,
liked this girl at the
slash.
time, so it was great to be able to spend so much time with her. When we were walking back to the house that night, Dave noticed some random guy following us, but I didn't think anything of it. He was freaked out, and I told him to relax. The guy was following us closely, but not close enough for us to actually panic. When we made it back to his house, I watched the guy continuing walking up the street, and he never seemed to look back. I just looked at my buddy and told him that he was freaking out for no reason. The next night, we hung out again, and his parents were going out of town for the weekend, so he was going to have the house to himself. Since he was embarrassed by his house, he didn't want to have anyone over. Trust me when I say, I pushed hard for the girls to stay over.
You have to use their food?
I told the girls that we couldn't hang out there, so instead, Dave and I walked to her house again. This time, we spent a considerable amount of time there.
What?
We didn't walk home until after about 3 in the morning. Dave was relieved on the way home that we didn't have anybody following us this time. I helped him close up the house and
whatever, I'm
got
just gonna
comfortable in
fucking-
the living room before passing out on the couch.
As it tells me I can't do this, I'm just gonna
At
fucking
this
do
point
it
in
the
the
normal
night,
way.
I was having one of the best nights of my life. I actually kissed the girl that I liked, and I legitimately felt invincible. Not long after lying down, we heard a knock on the door, and we both froze. What the hell was that? Dave exclaimed. Then the knock came again. It was a low and rhythmic knocking. Each bang on the wood made my hair stand up, and I slowly got up, and standing a few feet from the door, I shouted, "Who is it?"
What are you doing, baby?
There was no response right away.
Water.
And then a young
I'm
female
dying.
voice shouted from the other side,
I'm dying.
"Hey, I was wondering, can I please hide inside?"
Yeah,
I didn't say anything right away. The absurd nature of the statement and the calm tone of her voice left me speechless. Before I said anything, she spoke again.
Okay.
"It's going to be too late if you don't let me in. Can I please hide inside your house?" When I said that I was speechless, I mean I was absolutely at a loss for words. I had a million things flying through my head, and I just didn't know what to do. My instincts told me that it was the girls playing a joke on us, but I didn't recognize that voice. I decided not to answer, and neither did Dave, and we just sat in silence. And then I noticed the doorknob starting to jiggle back and forth. First slowly, and then more aggressively. And then, the calm voice instantly became more sinister when she said, "Open the damn door now!"
Open the damn door now!
I finally was able to shout, "Go away! I'm gonna call the police!" There were no sounds for a few seconds. This woman spoke again. She started in a soft tone, and in the middle of the sentence, I could hear this sinister tone coming out, and she says, "Hun, if you don't open the door right now, I'm going to lose my mind."
One of the circles is going to be highlighted.
Dave finally jumped up from the couch and shouted for her to go away.
To be protected,
And then a second voice could be heard from behind the door.
The Eclipse boss is weak.
It was the deep voice from the man, and he said,
it also has two
"Good
special
call, bud.
attacks. The first
Very,
one is double
very
T,
good call."
and you will need to click on the newest
Right
spawn
after he
one
said
as
that,
fast
I
as
thought I could
possible.
hear what
Do
sounded like
not wait for
footsteps
your
walking
character to
away.
hit the previously
So I
spawned
looked
one
out of the window
when
and
there's
saw
already
two people
a
walking
new
down the
one
street.
spawned. Just
One of
always
them looked
focus
suspiciously
on
like the person
newly
from the
spawned one. The second special attack is Sphere Mode. This is the same as the wall from Suck. Stand behind it and run along its path, but stay also very close to avoid getting any damage taken.
Goodness. Yeah. Honey water, baby. Like Zuck, okay. Okay. Easy enough. Alright, let's run. Oh. If I die, they're irretrievable. Holy shit. Yeah, fuck it. What? Which one is this? I don't know which one this is. Thank you, baby. Okay. All right. Well, I got the I got one. Wait. Okay. Well, that was interesting. What's this one?
Feels kind of like a rhythm game, and this might be really annoying for your very first few attempts. For creatures, and then go through the northeastern entrance. The Blood Moon once again is surrounded by circles, and one of which is highlighted. Stand on it to have protection. Protection prayers also do not work. Stand on the highlighted tile to have your protection. The Blood Moon also has two special attacks. The first one is a really easy one. Just don't stand on any blood pools. Stand still, do nothing, maybe turn off Mighty, and wait until the tile that you're standing on is going to have a blood pool on it. Then simply move away a tile to a tile that does not have a blood pool and just wait once again. The second special attack makes you attack a highlighted Jaguar. This one is a little bit like a rhythm game. You will need to attack the Jaguar to get healed 3 hit points or so, but before the Jaguar attacks, you will need to move away. But don't move away too quickly, else you will make a blood pool explode and you will take like 5 damage. So you must really anticipate when the Jaguar is going to attack and then just move away 1 tile on that exact tick and then move back. Attack the Jaguar, anticipate when the Jaguar is going to attack, then move back, and then immediately attack the Jaguar again. This feels kind of like a rhythm game, and this might be really annoying for your very first few attempts. And to be honest, if you're always off the rhythm, then the Blood Jaguar can really deplete your supplies really quickly. And that's about it. Once we've defeated this boss, we have the quest completed.
These bosses are so weird. I already did this one. Oh my gosh, babe. What are they doing? Shameless people.
Did she beat the shit out of her husband?
I think he punched him. Yeah, I don't know when he got punched, but she was looking at the cameras and she knows the whole thing. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know who gave him the black eye, but she did punch Billy Elliot, and I guess she punched. Oh boy. Okay, let's go.
Fair.
Yeah, taking it up the cornholing my husband, and you're like, that's what she said.
Also, that was never really your husband.
I didn't know what I was until after I was married. That's what he said.
Okay, Jeremy.
What door are they open?
Pantry.
Oh, okay.
It's just the door that opens all day.
All day. All day, every day.
Especially when you're home.
Why?
You got your bruise there.
Call me fat? I see how it is. You need to lose some few.
Snacks so much. There you go.
What did I just do? Oh.
That's, yeah, it's all gone. Yeah, that's cold tea. You want to kiss cold tea? You want to drink it cold tea?
Why did none of the rest do this? Just because I went in the wrong way?
No, thank you.
Oh my god, not Zuma! Not my Zuma!
Must be pretty big by the grimace on your face. That's what she said to him. Why am I going the wrong way? Why do you keep missing clicking him, eh? Why can I not click on them? I can't. All right. Oh, okay. Let me get out of there. Why can I not click on them? No, thank you, my guy.
You should spawn one as fast as possible. Do not wait for your character to hit the previously spawned one when
Okay,
there's
that
already
makes
a
sense.
new
Okay.
one spawned.
Okay.
Just always focus on the newly spawned one. The second special attack is Sphere Mode. This is the same as the wall from Suck. Stand behind it and run along its path, but stay also very close to avoid getting any damage taken.
What happened?
He said, kiss me and I'll cut your fucking tongue out.
To who? Lip?
No, Ian.
Ian to who?
Ian to the boy's fucking.
No. Who's Ian? Yeah, I know. What boys fucking know?
The one that was stealing from the shop.
Oh, okay.
His dad came in and was like, you gotta put some fucking clothes on, look gay. Walked out, and they shook hands. The guy who got clothes on, he was like, where's the kiss him? He's like, kiss me.
That's different. Okay. I gotta figure this out.
And do a sandwich.
What?
Do a sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
You can go to Walmart so bad.
Yeah, easy work. Elite. Oh, wow. I don't even know what I did, but I did it. I got 4 points. I kind of want to do that again if it's... Look that stuff up because it seemed like a little... If that was all the game, bro, that was fucking easy. And I could def fucking do it on repeat. Okay, return to monolith. Okay. Can I claim it since I did all the bosses? Nope. Fine by me, though. I can't go that way. My duck. I'm going back out this way, then. Did I do it? I want to see, did I do it? I did it! Okay, so I complete the quest. $1.8 mil an hour. I do need some points. Might be something I try to do so I can get these done. Yeah, because I got that already. Yeah, 9 points. Oh. I'm already here. Let's do it. Oh, I'm here. You mean like a cult? Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, that was what it was. Here you go. You're like, what?
We doing this.
Oh, shit.
What?
That was fucking nice. I got 2 points, and I got a log slot.
What?
Babe, I got a log slot and a new combat challenge done.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I just need 7 more points, and I have completed a new tier. So I'm gonna complete that real quick.
Maybe steal some sweatshirts from the bookstore. Come on, say, huh? The Bible says chores keep the soul pure.
I mean, true.
He said, all right, let's go find you some chores.
I'd say the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, all right, like, I ain't gonna tell you no. It's a good ass deal, I tell you what. You should do it.
What?
Down, 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 down.
He got a text that said, she's right. I gotta go.
She's ripe. Oh, yeah. Who, the Indian dude? Yeah, she said another baby and we can keep your secret.
Stop. No. Ugh. Shoot.
Yeah, sound like it.
Sorry, Oscar. Just scare ya.
Yeah. We got 3 points right there. Heck yeah. I need 4 points. So, bro, get the fuck off me. Sounds like a lot of trouble to me. Ah. Hi, Wheezy. You got it? You eating your sucker? Good. Oh, I'm going too fast.
About some fucking water, Frank.
Huh?
How about some fucking water?
Nope. Baby, that is not the move. I gained 2 points. Okay, I need 2 more points. Yeah, what's this? That's what I want. Yeah. Damn. Nice. Okay. What is this called? Bosses. Oh. Tasks. Boss. Perilous. Moon Apparel. Open the chest 5 times. Okay. Defeat all with run in one run by only attacking with a D-skim. Okay. Let me go fucking get a D-skim. Okay. Associated weapon drop. Okay. 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 I'm going to go get me a D-Scimitar, and I'll complete this. Okay. Super Compost can go in here. Right there. Sun-Kissed Bones. Just join them in here. Swamp Tar. Some bullshit thing. That's a stack. Ooh, I forgot about this clue. Oh, yeah, it's the clue. I just needed it. And then these darts. Bam. Bam. There we go. D-Skim. Hi, baby.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Making your mom's hangers, which she asked for 2 months ago.
Yay! Off. Stop licking your nuts. Bro, nuts less licking family besides babe.
Wow.
It's so bad.
They're bringing the meat sauce. Is that a euphemism? I got the pasta. Okay. Something wrong with fucking scissors.
I was petrified.
Stop, honey. Hi. Mommy string.
Mama, I love you.
Okay.
I beat this busy Mikey.
sober, you're still an asshole.
Doesn't stick anymore, baby.
I know, it's very sticky.
Alright, here you go.
See it?
That's you. Right on the babies.
Alright, mommy's room's not the playroom. Goodbye. Ah! Stop. Lay down. She said, Daddy used to have me on Saturdays.
So fucked up. Oh, I got it. Yes. I did it, baby.
Yeah.
Got my 2 points.
Awesome. The 7 you needed? Yeah.
Now I go get rewards from Gommel.
Oh, you have apples.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, let's go.
Isn't it Gommel? Where's Gommel?
Huh?
The guy I need to go look at for.
Yep, that's Cookie's lunch.
Gommel. Oh, okay.
Be nice.
He's giving him the.
What? So cute.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah.
15K mining experience. I'll take it.
All right. Hey, girl, are you ready for nuts? Then go, girl. Go play.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Limited. Okay. 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 Okay.
Whoa.
Imbue and Soul Rush cost 50 fewer points. That's fucking crazy. Nice. They take all.
Hey, Cody.
What's up, dude?
Can I play this game with you, Cody?
There's. Sure.
It's not easy.
I'm gonna press this button, Cody.
Yeah, there's no buttons to press, dude. That's why it's not a. It's a difficult game to play together. Hey, you gotta move your head, dude. You gotta be able to see. Okay, we're gonna teleport in. To the crafting
Nothing's
guild.
happening.
Because that button doesn't do anything. Teleport. We're going to the park.
A park? That's where I went.
Yeah, we're going to the Falador Park.
I would do that side part too. That's
Time for that.
too.
Isn't this park pretty?
Yeah.
Hey, stop hitting that button, please. Yeah, thank you.
No.
Champion guild. We gotta get a shovel.
Oh look. I want some roofs.
There's a roof right there.
Let's go inside there.
No, there's no need to go in there. Go into our house.
Where is our house?
Right here. This is our house.
But it comes on a roof.
Yeah, the roofs come on and off.
Okay. You are all done.
So those are chickens.
Nothing good.
A cockadoodle.
Cockadoodles. Evil chicken.
What's an evil chicken?
He's an evil chicken.
Let's do some stuff or walks right there.
What is my... Oh, yeah.
Let's play the bosses. I wanna play the game where we do the fire and the fire thing.
No, we're
He's
gonna
doing
play...
something, Kai.
Yeah,
You
we're
have
gonna
to
play
do what
this one.
He's doing. He's already doing something.
Alright, we gotta get some armor on. Let's get this.
That means it's armor.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna go range some things. We're gonna shoot our arrows at it.
I'm gonna shoot arrows.
Yeah, we will.
I'm gonna shoot the arrows right on here.
No, the...
The wave. The wave.
I
It's
need-
two. It's just the clouds and see they're okay. Make sure the clouds are okay.
Yeah.
The clouds are okay, Cody.
Okay.
Go back up. We're way high now.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Oh wait, now we can do it. Now let's check. Now let's check those cows. Why?
Yeah, those cows look good. Alright, now let me grab
Make sure the people are right.
my new thing. Yeah.
And go down right to the basement. I'm gonna shoot arrows.
Nope, let's go. Hold on, I gotta go.
But right here. But what are we gonna shoot arrows at?
They're called spiritual creatures.
Oh, I like to shoot bigger creatures. That's it. on the roof on. What's big on creatures? The right there. See those red dots right there?
Mm-hmm. They're wolves.
Those are the spherical creatures.
No, those aren't.
But what are those yellow circles?
Yellow circles. What, above my head?
Uh-huh.
They're protection prayers. They protect me from the enemies.
That comes there?
Okay. There they are. The
But-
spiritual creatures right here. They were shooting them.
Phew, I should have arrow.
Yeah, we're shooting darts at them.
But what does the spherical creatures look like?
There are these wizards right here.
What's the way what the wizards look like?
They're right there. They have these red robes right here. They're ghosts.
What's the spherical creatures? The creatures.
Yeah, they're right here. There's a spiritual mage. That's a creature.
But I don't see that creature. But
Shooting them.
where's the creatures?
Buddy, they're right here. The spiritual mage is a spiritual creature.
But that's not a wizard.
Hey, if we're gonna sit on our lap, we have to pay attention to the game. That's it. We're shooting the creatures. Yeah. You wanna watch TV?
Hi.
You wanna watch TV?
No.
You are watching TV, and it's fine, dude. Just sit on the chair. Don't sit on my lap. Yeah, we're shooting the creatures.
Is that the creature?
Yes, where we're shooting right here. Where my mouse is. What I'm circling.
But
Right here.
I don't want those animals. I want those animals to kill him.
No, we're beating the mages. Those animals are friends with the mages.
Gaboo arrow. What's those dog thingies for, Cody?
The what?
Those dog thingies.
The dog thingies. Oh, right here they're werewolves. They're just monsters in the dungeon.
I see some monsters in the garden.
We need to shoot?
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't need to kill those. We need to beat the spiritual mages.
Why?
The red things?
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of things red, but these red wizards right here. Why? Because that's what. That's what we.
Please,
Huh?
Cody.
No, dude, this is what I'm doing.
But
You can go play if you'd like, Kai.
Yeah. Oh.
Or you can sit there and watch what he's doing.
Oh, it's too dark.
Yeah.
Oh, it was too dark. Oh, I can see it. It's like a werewolf is walking.
Goodness.
Oh, oh,
buddy, this is what I'm playing, and I'm sorry you don't like playing it.
And from the previous night,
You can go play your own game.
it just
Yeah.
seemed very similar in
What
stature.
kind of game?
In your room.
We were
You have a
terrified
whole room to go play in.
and stayed awake for the rest of the night. Since his parents weren't home, we didn't call the police, even though obviously we should have. Dave was scared that his parents would get mad if the police showed up and they weren't home. On Sunday morning, when his parents came home, Dave told them what had happened, and they instantly called the police, calling us stupid, which we were. Better late than never, I guess. And since several hours had passed since the woman had been at the door, the police were honest with Dave's parents and told them that they would probably never catch these two people, but that
Please
they
what,
would be on
dude?
the lookout for similar incidents.
Quit asking.
I have no idea what those two
Hey, it's time
wanted
for
or
nap.
who they
Let's
even
go.
were. I
It
don't
doesn't
even like being
matter.
outside
It
at
is
night
time
anymore.
for nap. Let's go.
That night really messed me up for a long time, and I'm still trying to recover from the mental nightmare I endured.